At this time, we'd like to transition to more of a dialogue and a conversation of what this idea of transformational learning means to all of us. We have an exceptional panel presented for you this afternoon, but before we get started, we'd like to share with you a brief video that our very talented and amazing media department has put together for you. And one of our committee members suggested visiting this idea of transformation maybe in the lens of a very current and popular movie, Benjamin Button. They thought it was a great metaphor for this idea of how we, as a community, touch so many people throughout their experience in their lives. So I could direct your attention to the monitors. We'll share that together.
We have all heard the expression, hindsight is 20/20. This is a saying we usually apply to circumstances we would have changed if we'd only had the perspective of time. The F. Scott Fitzgerald short story, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, made into a film in 2008, illustrates this notion in a unique way, following the life of someone who starts his life as a senior and ages in reverse. What is learned in the process? That life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forward. At Grand Rapids Community College, this approach can be applied when examining the offerings we have for individuals of all ages. Whether you are a senior who has chosen to fulfill a lifelong dream of earning your degree, or you're returning for some of the many enriching activities available through our Older Learner Center, GRCC provides learning opportunities for this stage of your life. Whether you are nearing the end of your career or the job you had has ended prematurely because of economic changes, GRCC provides classes for updating or retraining, keeping you on track. Whether you're in the process of an intentional career change since, like most Americans today, career changes occur frequently over a lifetime, GRCC will help you assess your strengths and provide you with a path to that new job. Whether you're a member of our community who desires to expand your horizons through lectures on diversity or the culinary arts, or on sustainability or innovation, GRCC is here to open your mind to new ways of thinking and participating in our society. Whether you've already earned your degree, be it an associate's or a bachelor's or master's or a doctorate, GRCC provides the type of learning opportunities that will keep you current with changing technology. Whether you're a current high school graduate determining your direction, or you're returning to get that GED, GRCC makes sure you're ready for what's next with a host of certificate and liberal arts classes, or supportive instruction so that you're prepared to start college. Whether you're a high school student who's looking to get a jump on the credits you'll need in college, and you want to be working toward that higher ed degree in advance, GRCC offers courses that let you build up college credit even before getting your high school diploma. Whether you're one of the many elementary or middle school students who take advantage of courses and workshops on campus that build on your learning after school and during summer vacation, or even if you're an infant or toddler who starts learning in GRCC's acclaimed lab preschool program, we at Grand Rapids Community College make sure that the best practices in child development are applied from the first moment your eyes are open. Yes, looking at the entire spectrum of learning available at GRCC helps us see how individuals are transformed by the thousands every day. In fact, the terms learning and transformation may be interchangeable. We strive for both at Grand Rapids Community College. We strive to keep you moving forward.
Thank you to our fantastic Media Technologies department for putting all of that together. And we had such a great committee planning this two-day event, and so many ideas were going fast and furious. It was really nice that that one was captured and it became what we sort of had hoped it would become. So thank you again for making that a reality. Now we're ready to begin the main reason that we're here today, and that's the panel discussion. And we have this as a facilitated panel discussion, and I'd like to invite our facilitator, Professor Amy Koning, to the podium. She will take us from here. Amy is a professor in the business department, and we're very, very happy that she was willing to take on this role. Thank you, Amy.
If any of you know me, I'm not a very serious person sometimes, so for Steve to say thank you for being willing to take on this role, my arm was like this, and he repeatedly pointed out that I wasn't tenured yet. And I'm joking. He did not do that. I'm very honored to do this, so I appreciate the invitation. Thank you. It is my honor to go ahead and give you some introductions to whom we have sitting on our panel, and then I will invite them to expand upon that a little bit. And I'm going to start all the way over to my right-hand side, if I may. This is Professor John Heredia. He has taught in the Department of Communication Studies here at Grand Rapids Community College since 1991. He has also taught, and this is quite a lengthy list, I was impressed when I read this. He has also taught at MSU, Albion, Aquinas, Hope, all of those places before coming to join us here at Grcc. So we are definitely gaining from his experience. He teaches courses in interpersonal communication, public speaking, and film construction and criticism. He attended community college in Southern California, after serving in Vietnam. He received his bachelor's from Michigan State University. He's also pursued his PhD in teacher education. He's an essayist. He's a published poet. He is most notably for his work, it was included a companion book for a world tour Smithsonian exhibit. He has been a presenter or has co-authored papers presented at professional conferences in fields of communication, education, and critical thinking. He has 5 sons, all of whom are in undergraduate or graduate schools and are still teaching him about parenthood. Would you please welcome Professor Heredia? Secondly, we are honored to have Judge Sara Smolenski. Judge Smolinski is a Grand Rapids native. She has an Associate of Arts degree from Grand Rapids Junior College, Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of Michigan, and a Juris Doctorate degree from Thomas M. Cooley Law School. Judge Smolenski was elected to the 63rd District Court in 1990, of which she was also elected as Chief Judge in 1996. She is highly active as a community leader, such endeavors as a legal advocate, as well as a contributor and activist for several nonprofit organizations and groups. And some of you may have known her with her second life. I've learned about this, sorry, Judge, for her popular real-life humor that she frequently displays for many organizations here in the Grand Rapids area. So she may look a little familiar to you because of that. So thank you, Judge. We appreciate you being here. Next, we have Dr. John Salman. He has over 20 years of higher educational leadership. He currently is in his 4th year as Executive Dean of Student Services for Lake Michigan College in Benton Harbor, Michigan. In 1977, Dr. Salman began his career at Grand Rapids Junior College, for which he attended 2 years. And then he went ahead and transferred to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree. He went on to complete a Master's in Educational Leadership and a Doctorate in Educational Leadership from Eastern Michigan University. Interesting that I also read on his bio, while he was at Grand Rapids Junior College, Dr. Selmon competed as a wrestler, but not just a common wrestler. He also held All-American honors, both for Grand Rapids Junior College as well as Nebraska. So that was an interesting read. One of his most cherished awards that Dr. Salman has is being recognized as a distinguished alumni for Grand Rapids Community College several years ago. He lives in Grand Rapids and is married to his wife, Sephra. They have 2 children, Jacqueline and Jonathan. Both of Dr. and Mrs. Salman attended Grand Rapids Junior College, and Jacqueline is currently attending Grand Rapids Community College. So we welcome you, Dr. Salman. Next on our panel is Jeremy Christensen. Jeremy is currently in his third year at Grand Rapids Community College. He's seeking a secondary education degree in math, a minor in computer science. And you know, Jeremy, whenever you want to talk about this teaching thing, we ought to get together on that, okay? No, I would encourage you. He hopes to transfer to Lake Superior, and he currently is serving as our Student Congress president, although he's been in Student Congress for the last 3 years. He also wanted me to let you know that he's working with the basketball team currently so that he can go into coaching as well when he graduates. Thank you, Jeremy, for being on our panel. Last but not least, Dr. Ender. Dr. Ender took over as the 9th president of Grand Rapids Community College in May of 2009. He has more than 30 years of higher education, and he's held numerous teaching, counseling, and administrative positions. He's also published extensively in journals as well as textbooks. Prior to coming to Grand Rapids Community College, he served as the president of Westmoreland Community College. He's a Richmond, Virginia native. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management from Virginia Commonwealth University. He holds a master and doctoral degrees in education from the University of Georgia. He's also completed postdoctoral studies at the Snowmass Institute in Snowmass, Colorado, and Harvard University. He resides in Grand Rapids with his wife, Karen, and he is also the father of 2 adult children, Joanna and Mason. Thank you for being here. If I could, I would just like to ask you this simple question to all of you, if you would please. Just kind of give us a real short synopsis, perhaps 3 to 4 minutes, of your individual experiences while here at Grand Rapids Community College or Grand Rapids Junior College. Is there anyone that would like to start? I could be the professor and pick on you.
I'll start.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Sara Smolenski, and I was at the Grand Rapids Junior College in 1975 to 1977. They were 2 of the best collegiate years of my life. I've been a Raider from that day when I started, and I'll still be a Raider the day I die. I love junior college, and it's hard for me to call it community college because of the way I remember it as a kid. But junior college was always such a huge thing for our family. My parents actually met at Grand Rapids Junior College back in 1936. Later on, after both graduating from college, my dad from Michigan and my mom from state, they went on and had 10 kids, and I think at least 8 of them went to Grand Rapids Junior College. Pretty much, I'm certain all of them got an Associate of Arts. We all went on to higher education. And the one thing that I loved about the Grand Rapids Junior College, when I graduated from JC and transferred to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, every credit I had transferred to U of M. I distinctly remember I had a roommate. Of course, I'm coming onto U of M's campus as a junior because I'd already spent 2 years here in GRJC. And one of my roommates, there were 4 of us, she was transferring from U of M Dearborn campus. And she had trouble with her credits transferring. I remember there was a 4-credit class that she didn't get credit for or something to that nature. I just remember that every credit, including phys ed, that I had at Grand Rapids Junior College transferred without question. So when I came in that fall of 1977, I had all my credits ready to be a full standing junior at the University of Michigan. Completed 2 years at Michigan and went on. I also was very active in the athletics here at Grand Rapids Junior College, playing both on the women's softball and the women's basketball teams. That athletic career coupled with my academics, and really academics were always number one. My parents always made sure that was it. But the athletic experience at Grand Rapids Junior College opened up the whole other part of the social friendship network that I still hold dear today. And the coaches that I had at Grand Rapids Junior College, I still see and consider close friends and loved ones in your bigger circle of life. So there are so many things about Grand Rapids Junior College, now CC, that mean so much to me. I'm always happy to come back to campus and say yes, to do anything to promote it. There are so many people out there that are getting opportunities now that perhaps before didn't, and that's what I love about Grand Rapids Community College. It's really a huge part of our community, and I'm just very proud to be an alum. Okay, that's me.
Thank you very much. Professor Heredia, could you go next?
Oh, okay. I didn't go here. I went to a different community college back in Southern California. But my experience here was on the other side of the podium, so to speak. And I want to address my, when I was at community college in Southern California, it was Cerritos Community College. I had people there that the Dean of Academic Affairs called me into his office and told me that my first semester, my grades were so bad that he was going to ask me not to come back. And this was after I'd spent some time in the military. And after talking, a 5-minute talk that went to an hour, he said, you know, you're a pretty bright cookie. I think what you need is somebody to teach you how to study. So he set me up with a tutor, and the tutor was drop dead gorgeous, so I showed up at every session. Anyway, but that dean met with me weekly. We played handball every Friday, and there were 16,000 students at this college, and that dean met with me every Friday, and we played handball, and I already know that he knew what was going on in my classes. That has stayed with me all of these years, how one person can make a difference and in the throngs of all the community and all the things that go on. He encouraged me, he was behind me, and I think that that kind of thing you get at a community college. I got somewhat like that when I went to Long Beach State and Michigan State, but the closeness that I had with my professors at the community college said to me when I had the opportunity to come here that I can do the same thing. I have that chance to, as the popular movie went, to pay it forward. And I take that very seriously in terms of what I can do in helping other students. And while I had job offers at some other colleges, I felt most comfortable coming to a community college because of that dean. And so I think this is my opportunity. So I look at the community college here as a journey. I'm continuing to develop the memories of inspiration for me.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, thank you. Dr. Ender, would you like to go next?
Very much. I didn't think you'd leave me out. I'm going to approach the question, I think, a little bit differently than my colleagues here on the panel. I think what we do at the community college is not only offer folks opportunities when there may not be opportunities, we're also pretty good about how we provide support that John's referring to assist people through this process. And quite frankly, Grand Rapids Community College for me is clearly an opportunity that I needed pretty badly, quite frankly, for Steve, the person and educator. Even though in my former presidency, the campus experienced significant gains on several different metrics, I was clearly not happy there because of relationships with the governing board. And there are times when you look around and all the data points say you're successful, but at the same time, you're hearing from significant others where you're not successful because you're not doing these things and these things and these things that we define as success that's a powerful message for someone who is very inclined to want to be successful and wants to please. You know, it is in my personality. I don't like to disappoint people. So this comes along at a time when I saw two choices, actually one choice, and that was to leave the institution and take up gardening full-time, which really didn't sound very good to me, or kind of just tough it out and see if we could find another road. So this opportunity, and it's, you know, the part of how we help students grow is we challenge them, and sometimes we kind of knock them off their equilibrium, whether it be intellectually or psychosocially, and they have to figure out how to, hopefully with our help, adjust, find a level of equilibrium again so that they can then rise and be successful. That's kind of what maturation is about. Well, I'm experiencing all those things at this college right now in my life. I have been knocked off of equilibrium. I have been supported by people around me. I have recovered and found that if I think about this differently, or if I listen to another perspective, or if I take more time, whatever it is that you find to adjust, you know, to kind of adjust to the reality, at the end of the day, I think I'm growing in not only this role as your president, but also as a person that feels good about himself, quite frankly. And I think that's what we do with students, and I'm telling you, this environment is doing that for me, and I'm very grateful for that.
Great, thank you. Dr. Selmon.
Oh, thank you. Boy, it's always a privilege for me to be back here at Grand Rapids Community College. This was my beginning. When I started higher education, my brother and I came here. We had no idea, no clue what higher education was about, what it was going to be about, and we came here to Grand Rapids, and it gave us the foundation. I literally grew up here. I mean, we were 5 hours from home, so we had to learn how to live on our own and do a lot of things that you wouldn't normally do if you were on a college campus with dorms, and so we really grew up here. And the athletic experience that I had here prepared me for the next level of wrestling. When I left here, where's Charlie Wells and Emil compare those two coaches? I'll never forget them. But they prepared us for the next level. We went to University of Nebraska, and we were really prepared to compete at that level at that time. And perhaps that first 2 years we were here, we were not ready to compete at that level, but they really prepared us. I mean, as a matter of fact, Nebraska became easier, and I said, boy, we worked harder than this at Grand Rapids Community College. And so it was a real good experience for us, and we grew up there, and academically, we were able to transition. We were able to, like the judge said, to transition, to take our courses that we had, our courses transferred, and that meant a lot to us, especially meant a lot to our parents at that time, because they didn't have to pay for them any longer. But that was a good experience, and so we were able to transfer and to get through. But Grand Rapids really, for my entire family, has provided some foundation. I am one of 9, and I think 5 of us went through Grand Rapids Community College from Ohio. So we made that trip. My wife went through here, and my daughter is currently here now, and we're trying to help her grow up and to transition to the next level as well. And I wish she was here today to hear this. But so it's really been a great opportunity. I also became the distinguished alum, and other things that just on a regular basis connected me to the college. I always came back. I had my brother David works here now currently, and he's had a wonderful professional opportunity here at Grand Rapids Community College. He came through as a student, and he went off and graduated with his bachelor's, but he came back, and then he got some wonderful opportunities to grow as a professional. I watched him grow and change at different levels and at different times, and that was all really related to Grand Rapids Community College, and so that was a wonderful thing to see. He coached basketball for over 20 years, so I was here quite a bit. We'd come back and watch games, and when he was winning, we came back more. But nonetheless, but that was a great it was a great professional opportunity for him, and you know, with the access and opportunity that Grand Rapids provides for thousands and thousands of students, it's just great to see We've watched it transform over the years, and so, the distinguished alum, I go over sometimes in the Ford field, and I look at my picture that's sitting in the Ford field from wrestling, and I just reflect, and it's wonderful to take my kids over, and they don't go anymore. I mean, they went once, but it's, but every now and then I walk past that. So it's some very fond memories, and I got to grow up and change here and become a professional, and it all began here. I got my first opportunity to work in higher education here. I worked in the handicapped student program, and so I got an opportunity to work with students that were different, and we had to provide support services for those individuals, and it really changed me as a person to have that experience. And so first work opportunity, distinguished alum opportunity, I got to win the national championship in wrestling. And so I'm all connected to this place. And I got about 30 family members. If I count out all the names, there are 30 family members, cousins and all that have gone here. So this is a very special place for me. So thank you.
And Jeremy, if you could just share with us your individual experiences here at CC.
Okay, there's been quite a few here in 3 years now. However, as I started to say yesterday, I mean, I pretty much came from a nobody really. I mean, I lived in Greenville, and then I moved to Lansing, and then my parents got divorced, and I was always a mama's boy, and so I came here to reunite with her after 15 years, and for the divorce, and she had a lot of issues. In my first few years here, I came to take care of her, and then finally the light turned on that I needed to focus on myself. So I came here to Grand Rapids Community College, and pretty much the rest is well spoken for, really. I mean, I pretty much only taken gone half time here. I've never taken more than 9 credits, but still I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I work. I've worked full time, and still taking classes, and been very successful. And then at one of the organization fairs 3 years ago, I think the fall one, I went to the student congress table, and that gave me an opportunity to join them. And I've always been in a leadership role, so to speak, as I was in Boy Scouts, and and always a leader in there. And so and I've volunteered in the community, so leadership's always been my role. And thanks to Eric Mullen here, I mean, that's pretty much progressed and whatnot. And now I'm to the point where I'm a student congress president, and being able to meet with all the faculty here and have close relationships with them, and help planning these events with the faculty have meant so much, and taught me that I do want to be in education, that I do want to teach, that I want to help other people, because that's what my personality goes for. And it's just made me realize that that's my purpose in life, and why I'm here, and what I want to do. And also, this is very important because I had seizures the first 10 years of my life, and for me to have a speech impediment, and have a speech problem, and now to be a student congress president, and even be here speaking in front of you guys today, it really is a big deal for me, and I have this institution to thank for that.
Great. Now that we know a little bit more about each of you and your individual perspectives, perhaps about CC, I'd like to ask this next question, and that is, how have you seen GRCC transform the greater community? How have you seen GRCC transform the greater community?
I'll take a stab at it if you want. Not that we're in any particular order, Professor Koning.
No,
you can,
but you have an A for the day, by the way, for volunteering so quickly.
Really? All right, well, you know, when you think about how has GRCC transformed the greater community, one of the things, well, there's 2 things I think of right away. And I think of GRCC's presence in our community. And by presence in our community, I mean, how many people think about, talk about, know about Grand Rapids Community College? And from the years past when I was a student, I think it has only gotten better and better and better and better in terms of the effect and transformation it's had on our community as a whole. In all due respect, there were years ago that you wouldn't know who the Board of Trustees were. You wouldn't know or be able to name some of the Board of Trustees at the junior college. Now I think our Board of Trustees are such great people that dedicate themselves so hard to make sure that as good leaders, they can give us the foundation to continue moving forward to make a change in the community. And I think our Board of Trustees, they give us that presence that we don't always have. I think our student body also, the diversity of our student body and how it's changed over the years. Junior college, community college has always been one that tried to fit for every student, young, old, all kinds of different format. And they still do that. And I think they really can help people that, you know, didn't have the opportunity before. But I think that changes the community. I think that transforms our community. I think that makes our community better. I've had a chance to swear in some of the Board of Trustees. I never even knew they were Board of Trustees when I was here in school. I mean, I don't think I ever focused on it or thought about it. Now you read what they say in the paper, you hear about what they're doing in the community. Many of them are very active. They're passionate about what they do. And I've been so honored a few times to come down to swear in some of the new Board of Trustee or the ones that have continued. And I think that is something that we really have a lot to be thankful for. And I think that helps make our community college more visible because of the work that they do.
Absolutely. Great. Dr. Ender, I was hoping you could maybe expand upon that from a newbie point of view, if I may call you that. How do you...
As long as you want, because new people don't know a whole lot. You know, they're still
well, then I take the newbie back.
Trying to find their way.
I was really hoping to hear how you would like to see GRCC transform the greater community from going into the future.
Okay, I can take a stab at that. I wanted to just mention a couple of data points, though, that are pretty impressive to me about this institution. 27% of all college-going students from the high schools in Kent County come to this institution first. So more than 1 out of 4 of the college-going population from our high schools. This town embraces diversity. We are the United Nations. You know, you walk our halls, walk our commons, you will see every race, color, and creed, every ethnic group, every religious orientation. It is all here. It is, in my mind, beautiful. It is, when I think of diversity and where is it best represented, I think of our community college, quite frankly. We clearly are on the front lines of economic development. We've got our people in workforce training solutions have superb relationships and respect from the economic development leadership in the county and region, and we are a partner with most of them when they want to start a new venture and they're looking at skill sets and training and developing a workforce for these new jobs in the 21st century. And then 3 years ago, we're updating that study now, just the economic impact of this institution through our budget and our students out there working is well over $1 billion a year, or 4% of the local economy. That's to me a pretty significant data point about our impact on the community. Going forward, where would I like us to be? I truly believe, and I think this is true across the country, especially, well, not especially in urban locations. It's linked directly to the socioeconomic class that one finds themselves in. And the correlation is very clear. The fewer dollars in your household, the less likely you're going to go to college and obtain post-secondary credentials. In this county, we have thousands and thousands of young people that fall at that economic rung on the ladder. And as a community college, and you just don't do this work by yourself. We have to join with other, both educational, nonprofits, business and commerce leaders, and develop for our community a culture that no one will be left behind, that we can help all people move not only through high school, but into a post-secondary educational setting. The same values that everybody on this panel probably grew up with needs to transcend our community. And it won't be just one entity pulling that off, but that has to happen if you're going to have a workforce ready to assume the new jobs that we will see in the next 100 years. I mean, you just cannot leave out major segments of your populace from that economic engine, because they're the folks that are going to drive the economic engine. So education has to be part of a culture, a value, just like diversity is, just like sustainability is, just like innovation is. Those are our words here. Well, post-secondary education has to be one of those values for all of us. So I would like to think we're going to play some role in not only getting the right people around the table, but finding ways to advance the conversation and advance it back in schools and in households in this region that we work in. That would be my hope. And that transforms the region if you can do that.
Sure. Dr. Salman?
The community college here for me, and just the functions of a community college, one of the things that I look at is the number of years that this community college has been in the community. I mean, you look back years and years, so it's touched a whole lot of people. I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people, but it has to.
Just our families, you mean?
Yeah, just the two of us.
That's just the Smolenskis and the Selmon.
Yeah, that's thousands.
The one thing that astonished me moving into this town was the people that I would meet every day from all sectors of the community. And it's like, it's not 6 degrees of freedom, it's more like 2 or 3. Oh yeah, I went there, or no, my cousin goes there now, or my mother went there. It is amazing to me. I mean, just ask anybody, you know, just ask anybody. They have a connection to this college.
And the current number of students that are involved, whether it's career education, university transfer, mission that the institution has, workforce development. I mean, just all the pieces as it relates to the function of a community college. Grand Rapids Community College has those functions, and they do them very well. And the community engagement, they're connected in every aspect of the community, and so many partnerships. One of the things about Grand Rapids is the reputation that they have for quality, access, and opportunity, not only here in this city, in this region, but and in this state, but around the nation. The culinary arts program and some of the other programs that have national reputations. And so that goes way beyond the boundaries of this local community. And that's powerful. That's powerful. And you go around the country and you talk about Grand Rapids, and Grand Rapids Community College or Junior College is a name that comes up. People recognize it. And like I said, it's the quality, the access, the opportunity that's afforded here, and the number of lives that have been impacted by this institution. So, but I think just over time and the number of people that have been touched by the institution, it's transformed this community in the ways that you probably can't even imagine. So,
Thank you.
I had, when I first started teaching here, I had a really interesting experience. I was talking to this really old guy, about my age now, okay, you know, and he said, and I told him I was teaching here. He said, "Oh, I went there And then I went to University of Michigan for my graduate work, or for my bachelor's, and then went on to University of Michigan Medical School. And there's a whole bunch of us that went through this same thing. And I learned that GRCC was a feeder school to the University of Michigan. Being a state person, I should be aware of that. and I thought how grand it was to have a west side of the state representation to one of the finer universities in the country. And thinking along that lines, I over the years met so many people, and it's blown me away, the number of people that first came here, were influenced here. All 5 of my boys went here, you know, they're, of course, they had to. Dad was here, you know. I wanted them to get something out of their education. So the influence that this community college has goes beyond what happens in the classroom. And I guess if people are talking about the community college in any way, that there's this thing they say in entertainment business, I don't care what you say about me, just mention my name. Well, certainly we care what people say about us here, and fortunately for us, it is very positive, and it's very, I guess, encouraging to know that what was happening here, I think, since 1914. Is that correct? 1914? Those of you there know. To this day, it has grown in its stature within the community. And it is a community college representing the concerns of the community, not only for economic advancement within the body of the students, but for, as well, the quality of their life. And many times we see students, especially first-generation college students, come to college thinking that the only difference they're going to have in their life is that opportunity to make more money. When in fact, that's where the transformation comes in, that they're sometimes shocked to know that they don't look at the world the same way they did when they first started college. And that's a tribute to thinking. That's a tribute to their thinking, and they're becoming involved. And I think a community college owes that. And if you said, Mr. President, it's 27%?
27%
of
High schoolers?
high schoolers going to
graduates,
college.
or all of those that go to college.
Right.
Okay. That's a tremendous impact that we have for people who oftentimes may not be prepared to go to college, and so they come here for that first step. Or maybe they are prepared, but they don't have the money to go to someplace else, so they come here for that first step. Or they don't want to leave home. They want mom's cooking, and they want to use the laundry facilities at home, even though they have the wherewithal to go out on their own. That's a tremendous I guess, honor that we have in this community, that people will trust us enough to say, even though I'm prepared well enough to go on to a four-year institution immediately, I choose not to. And that speaks of certainly the structure of the organization, but it speaks highly of my colleagues. And I want to say that I'm often a person who's pretty outspoken, people know me as that, but I'm honored, I want to say this, I'm honored to be counted as one of the faculty here, considering the wonderful things that my colleagues have done over the years. I had a list that I compiled 12 years ago of the accomplishments by the people that teach here, such things as the butterfly exhibit that we had. We had an art exhibit. What was it called? The Perugino? Anybody? Was that correct? The Perugino exhibit by a former faculty member here. The culinary arts program, the college paper. the jazz, the jazz program here, the honors that our faculty go out and get in their professional organizations that are here. And so it is humbling to know that, and it is, I guess, raising the flag of blowing your own horn a little bit to say that the community knows that as well.
I'd like to, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just one of the other things I'd like to add. I sit on a group, the Michigan Community College Student Service Association, and we have the 28 community colleges represented there at those levels. And Grand Rapids is often thought of as a best practice institution. And so a lot of comments, a lot of discussions around different things that community colleges do. But Grand Rapids tends to be the benchmark for best practices throughout the state, recognized by other community colleges. And I think that's important, very important distinction. But that has been established over time by the professionals that have worked here. But oftentimes a benchmark, a best practice institution. And when they mention that, they talk about Grand Rapids as being one of those here in Michigan. So thought I'd share that piece with you.
Lots to be proud of.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Dovetailing off of what Professor Heredia, I think if I wrote this down correctly, you said students don't think the same when they start or when they end as to when they started. And I'd like to dovetail off of that a little bit and ask each of you how GRCC changed your perspective from when you started to perhaps when you graduated, or Jeremy, when you transfer, or when you retire. How that perspective may have changed. I know personally mine changes, every semester. So I'm sure that there doesn't have to be an end in sight quite yet to have your perspective change because of what we do here at GRCC.
Sure, I'll start on this one, I guess. Me, personally, like I said, this institution has taught me pretty much everything. It's taught me work ethic, time management skills, and going by what Professor Heredia said, that just critically thinking or thinking. I mean, I would just act or react, and now because of this institution, I think out things and whatnot differently, and like I said, it's taught me time management and to do multiple things, and it's showed me that I can do things that I never thought, that I never imagined. I mean, my family keeps telling me every day that they knew I was going to do this. It was just a matter of time. And also, I'm one of the few individuals probably in this whole community that I am actually a first-generation person that's attended this institution. No one in my family has. Most of them went to four-year institutions right away, mostly Michigan State. So a couple have gone to Grand Valley, but most of them not even in West Michigan. So I'm one of the few that has the honor of being the first to do that. And so for me personally, it's a big deal, and that's basically what it's taught me. So
Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else?
Is the question how it's changed our perspective or how our perspective changed?
Could
I don't
be
know if
either.
I'm saying it. Okay. Perspective changed.
Could
I don't
be
know if I'm
either.
saying it. Okay.
I think
Because I think when I think I started at the junior college because I was number 8 in a family of 10 and everybody else did. So I think you have a tendency to kind of do what your older siblings did. And a lot of what Professor Heredia said about being able to stay at home, being able to be in a comfort area that you're already very comfortable with, waiting 2 years to go to a junior or a university and moving away, being at the junior college really helped me build my self-confidence as a person and help mold who I was going to become later. And as you said too, Professor Koning, you're still working on that. And day by day or experience by experience, your perspectives can change. I love the community feel of being connected to the professors. There are professors that I had that I can still see, that I still talk to in the community. And I don't think you get that in a bigger institution. I like the overlapping of both the academic, which was number one. I always knew I was going to go to law school, so since 4th grade I knew that. And junior college was just the journey that Professor Heredia was talking about. I knew I would do the 2 years and go on to Michigan. But I think that it gives you that stepping stone, that building of the journey. And my perspective was that it was everything I wanted it to be. I started out very naive. I started out very green. I started out very not so confident. And it helped me with the preparedness and everything else and the contact with the professors to be very self-assured, or to be more self-assured than I would have been coming into the University of Michigan when I did. With the 2 years at the junior college, it really helped me, give me that confidence, both athletically and academically. And I really think that made my experience in Ann Arbor, as Dr. Selmon says too with Nebraska, I was so much more prepared. It wasn't a breeze. I'm not quite as sharp as he is, but or those Cornhuskers, but it was definitely a preparation on the journey that helped me.
And maybe if I could dovetail off of that and ask the two of you, Judge Smolenski and Dr. Selmon, do you think that still occurs? Do you think GRCC still changes that perspective of individual students that come in, even if they know that they are going to have, going to transfer? Do you feel GRCC still plays that important role?
Oh, absolutely. I think, the focus of the institution is teaching and learning. And when you have that focus, people have to learn something, when they have the experience. I just believe that. And the goal is student success, like it is at many institutions. So I would dare guess that students leave here knowing more than they came. But for me, my perspective, like I said, the confidence level for me, because I had no idea, no clue what to expect in higher ed, and these clear pathways for me. It became very clear how to get to my bachelor's degree. And so that pathway for me was very clear when I left here. And I think that's helped with my confidence, that I knew and felt that I was ready to move to the next level. And that pathway that was created here helped me get there. So, but teaching and learning, I would dare guess that there was a change. So. And
I want to follow up on that, only to say that I think, and I'm older than Dr. Selmon, but when I was in school, there was the kind of attitude by some that junior college was a glorified high school. And there was this attitude of, oh, you're just going to the junior college. Now, I never felt that. I could hear people talking about it. Perhaps maybe as they compare institutions of higher learning now with the Ivy League school and some other school. But the reality is that now there are so many of the same books that we study in our academia here at community college that are used on the campuses of the Ivy League schools and the East Lansing and the University of Michigan and everywhere else. So, I mean, you have the tools that you're given here. And it never hindered anything that I ever pursued. It only enhanced it. So for those naysayers that say, well, it's just kind of the glorified, I think that perspective has changed over the years, and it's not that way anymore. People think this is, as Dr. Selmon said, best practices, a benchmark, Grand Rapids Community College. It's a privilege. And as much as Professor Heredia talks about a privilege of being a faculty, I really feel a great deal of pride being an alum, a great deal of pride. And I too was able to get the Distinguished Alumni Award, and my biggest claim to fame in this whole institution is I could give the commencement speech. It meant the world to me to get up in front of hundreds of people and be the commencement speaker. I was ready to die the next day. That was it. I've done it. That was it. That was the top.
We're glad you didn't, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We'd have an empty chair.
Well, 11 million people around the country think community colleges are good, because that's what the enrollment is around the country in terms of students that choose community colleges to continue their education. So that's significant. I think of the 20 I think all 28 community colleges in Michigan are up enrollment, and I would dare guess that would grow and continue to grow here in the years to come. So
It's a pretty significant data point when the United States economy has to be overhauled, changed. And the president reaches out to the community college sector
it's powerful.
to make that happen. That is power. And that to me, even though there's some money there to help us do that, the fact that our government and our president has affirmed our work as could have gone to any sector, came to the community colleges.
Favorites
Said,
right now. I like that.
this is a sector that's going to help us get out of this malaise. That is a very powerful statement about who we are.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that as well. I was just reading this morning in the New York Times that Thomas Friedman was saying, and quoting a number of different people, saying that in terms of our economy, it is up to our education to turn the economy around. He said that 50% of the workforce, of college-educated workforce out there today are expendable because all they have learned to do in their work life is to take orders and to do what someone has told them to do, and they show up and they just do it, as opposed to involving themselves in problem solving, in creative thinking, in critical thinking, and anticipating what might happen next. Those are the people that are going to turn the economy around. And I want to tilt it a little bit about what happens to our students when they become parents. I think one of the problems people say about what's wrong with education is that, the teachers this, or we're spending too much money here, or these people over here, or this, or this, too much sports, or whatever. It is the zeitgeist. It is the disposition of our society that diminishes the importance of quality of life changes in our education. And I think that when our students go through our program, go through any program with faculty that are charged with this notion of having an impact on their students' future, that those students then teach their own kids the quality or the value of a quality of education. One of the things that we've run into problems with, especially at a community college, is the reproduction of the same social class from which they come. And students think that's what's going to happen to them, that they are going to just come and be a widget and go back and continue being a widget. When in fact, I mentioned that change, that transformation that takes place. And I think that it's not something that can be quantified at this point in their life or that point in their life. It's after they give that commencement address, can it be quantified? And they say, yes, I had that life-changing experience. And I think that that's our charge, that's our responsibility, is to ensure that our students know when they, I'm going to play a little Plato here, that when they come out of the cave, Plato's cave in the Republic, that it's only temporary, that if they stay there too long, they're in another cave. And their whole progress is based on this continual journey out of whatever cave they happen to be in at that moment. And I had an aha moment with one of my students when they said, because we were addressing this, and I didn't say the word temporary, and the student said, you mean where we are right now, mentally, thought-wise, is temporary? And I said, yeah, just like a thunderstorm. Just like good things that happen to you are temporary and bad things that happen to you are temporary, it passes. And you have to keep going forward in order to keep enriching. And that the student said, well, then if I stand still, everything goes by me then. I said, exactly. And then we talked about experiences of the automobile industry, standing still thinking we're the best there is, and then here comes the Japanese, and our economy, we're the best there is, and then here comes India and China. So we have to constantly be critical of who we are. as a society to make that society great. And that starts within our own classrooms for those that are hopefully those that are willing to engage in that transformation. And that's part of our problem, is that some students come in saying, I know, I want absolutes. Just give me absolutes. And I don't want to think in terms of gray area. You know, again, the problem.
Speaking of gray area, Dr. Ender, you mentioned about President Obama's reaching out to the community college. Could you just talk about what GRCC's role is going to be as that change agent for our community?
Sure, I'd be pleased to. The president's agenda is actually a graduation initiative, and we have lost our place in the world as far as the proportionate number of our citizens that hold degrees or certificates. His goal is to increase the output in the next 10 years by 5 million more Americans within 10 years, and then a year, each year, earning an associate's degree, certificate, associate's degree, or greater. And he has devised a bill that is moved through the House, and I feel confident it's going to get through the Senate because they've actually found a way to pay for this. That creates buckets of dollars, if you will, that then the community colleges across the country will be able to compete for. And those buckets are a lot of money, about $9 billion in what is called student success initiatives that will be based on best practices, and you'll go through an RFP process to seek awards to help your institution help then increase the number of students that will move forward and get an associate's degree or certificate. So in that area for us, it's clearly about benchmarking present practice, and quite frankly, I think we have a ways to go. We need to, people leave us for all kinds of reasons that have nothing to do with ability. A lot to do with financial need, a lot to do with things going on in the house, a lot to do with I have to work more, but we need to find better ways to recognize those students when they're leaving and have some conversations with them to see if there's some way we can keep them on track, even if it's taken one course a semester, but not to lose touch with this institution. There's another bucket of money, because our goal has to be, well, what's our proportionate share of the growth that the president's talking about? So what do those numbers look like? And then what are our stretch numbers? How can we do better than, because I think we can do better than what we're doing right now. Those dollars will probably allow us to hire more people in the support functions of education, quite frankly. The tutoring, the advising, the technology, so that, John, if you have a student who's missed your first year student, missed the third class in a row, just put the name in the computer, it gets to the right person, makes the phone call, figures out what's going on, missed you today, or an email, or however we can, but we can use technology, we can develop systems to do that pretty effectively. Other schools have, so certainly this school can do it. Another bucket of money is about the development of more courses and programs that can be offered across the internet through distance learning. And we will clearly be competing for monies in that category. And then the final area is, and this is unusual for the federal government, there's $2.5 billion available across the country for construction and renovation of facilities. And our proportionate share, if we're doing the math right, is about $8 million of that $2.5 billion. The caveat is you have to match those dollars on a 3-to-1 basis, which means to get all 8, you need to raise 24 in some way or form. And we have 2 buildings that need serious work to not only just be sustainable, but to, quite frankly, bring the level of our classrooms up to the level of the quality of our instruction. And that's the cook hall, the upper floors, we've renovated the first floor, all of the main building, the field house, the big venue, the arena where we do the public work. Those three projects, plus some work at Davenport, we could eat through 24 and do a couple of other things that I don't want to talk about, because when I talk about you got to raise 24 to get 8, staff says, well, we talked about raising 12 to 15. I said, well, that was before we knew about the 8. So now we have to, you know. So we will have a capital campaign that is kind of going on right now under the surface, with the goal to be able to do at least those three projects in Davenport, and really put the institution in a place not to have to worry about Maslow's lower hierarchy of needs, if you will. So we're quite excited about this opportunity. I think the money will be competing for that money in the spring of this year. And hopefully we'll see those dollars starting to flow to the institution in the federal government's next fiscal year, which would be October 1 of 10.
Thank you. Professor Heredia, could you comment on the educational role as that change agent that GRCC may see themselves to help change the community from an educator's standpoint?
From an educator's standpoint, and speaking just for me, because I don't presume to know all of what my colleagues' desires are in this regard and expectations are. I think that as an educator, and I tell this to my students on the very first day of class, the role that we have as an educator is not to give you answers. You're thinking you're coming here to find answers. Our role is to help you generate appropriate questions for the problems that you're going to be faced in a life filled with ill-defined tasks. And our role is to help them formulate or practice within the classroom, and hopefully outside the classroom as they're engaged in their own social life, using the models that we represent to generate questions for themselves. And I think that anytime we stop asking questions, we stop moving out of that cave, we stop the journey. So we are what we do habitually, and unfortunately, a habit is 1,000 times, 100 times, whatever times stronger than willpower. So that habit of asking questions is something that we have to constantly be not only modeling, but pushing our students to achieve. Constantly asking questions, and I think they take that habit, hopefully take that habit with them, and into their life in terms of saying, how can we get better? How can we optimize? How can we maximize our potential instead of just dealing with the minimum necessary for me to get by? And secondly, we have to move away. We use language mediates thought. And I don't think there's anybody that questions that in the last 10, 12 years anyway, that language, or how we use symbols, mediates our thinking. And we have to get away from the symbols that inhibit our thinking. For instance, the symbol of the importance of a grade, as opposed to the symbol of maximizing your potential. You still need the grade, but that grade does absolutely nothing for a student once they get their first job. If they don't know how to think critically and solve particular problems and ask the appropriate questions to make their employer money, that guy's out with all his A's. And it does absolutely nothing for anybody. So how do we instill within the student that drive to internalize maximizing their potential, as opposed to doing the bare minimum necessary to get an achievable grade? That's number one. And number two, we have to do that ourselves. We have to constantly be looking inward to say, how do I get better at what I'm doing? And I was asked once, and I want everybody to understand the complete answer I'm going to give here. Do you think you're a pretty good teacher? And I said, yeah, I'm the best. And then I said, and just like everybody else that takes their profession seriously, everybody has to presume they're the best. And one of the qualifications for presuming you're one of the best is that you are aware that you don't know, and that you are constantly asking questions and constantly wanting to get better. And since that student asked me that question, I've been trying to have my students see the importance of that in whatever field they go into. Again, once we sit on our laurels, we stop moving forward. And I think if we want to make a good society, and I think that everybody's involved in that effort to contribute to a good society, and I tell them the most important job they're ever going to have is a job within the four walls of their own home. And then I quote Gandhi, you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And that change, to think critically, to think well, and to work on behalf of others, to help others maximize their potential, not just for what you can get out of it. And I think we've had the problem in our economy is that we've had that zeitgeist of what can I get out of it, and we've seen the result of it. Doing the bare minimum, in other words, for me, as opposed to how can I make the world a better place by just being who I am. And I know that sounds really, I was going to say wishy-washy, but that's good. Wishy-washy is good, means you change your mind regularly according to the information you get. So
Yes.
that's it.
Thank you. Any other comments on that?
I actually, if there's one message that I like to begin a class with, especially if these are new students to higher education, I think one of our primary roles early on is to help students find their voice. And by that I mean to take the risk to think out loud. I know in my own development in whatever intellectual capacity I have, it has been expanded by, as I became more comfortable, moving into conversations with people that I thought at that time, and believe so today, were far superior thinkers to who I am. But taking the risk to share my thoughts and to have some of them affirmed, quite frankly, or challenged, and then I had to reconsider or to hear what another thinker thinks. But that's a risk, and lots of students come to us that have not been encouraged to think out loud, have not been encouraged to find their voice in a classroom. But when you do, I think it opens up education for you, the learner. It did for me. Clearly, it did for me.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. There was a guy, Peter Elbow, and there's some of you, I'm sure, familiar with his work. And he talks about establishing an environment within the classroom that allows for risk-taking. And I really emphasize that in my classes. Please take a risk here, especially if you're an engineering student. Don't take a risk in developing a building that I'm going to walk in and make that experimental. Sure. This is where you take the risks here. And I model that by they know me a little more personally by where I'm openly engaging in talking about the things that I had to overcome in my own learning and my own professional aspirations. And I'm sure we're all familiar with those times when we were in third grade and we saw our teacher at the grocery store and we said, look, they let her out, that kind of a thing. Well, I think the more our students are able to know us, the more they're able to trust that the environment is safe enough. Not necessarily they won't get criticized, but safe enough to take the risks in and developing, having that conversation inward as well as outward.
Professor Koning, I just wanted to add, I do not work in the world of academia, so I love hearing what all of these academics have to say because it is so enlightening. From my everyday contacts with people and how I see GRCC as being the change agent for our community, I really think of it as a beacon of hope for education because I'm dealing with not basic people, but some basic problems where I'm seeing people in court that have gotten off track. That's how I'll say it. They've gotten off track. And yes, some of them are Grand Rapids Community College students. Like any other college, four-year institution or what, there are people that come through court of every age that have gotten off track. And I am often asking people in front of me in court about their educational experience, whether they're even in school. Sometimes clearly you can tell by the age that if they had been in high school, they're done by now, so what's the next step? I'm always doing an encouraging motion in terms of trying to get them back into education if they've been away. So I like Dr. Ender's approach as it relates to saying we need to keep them in touch, even if it's one class, as opposed to, I'll say right out loud, how many credits are you taking at Grand Rapids Community College? I mean, this morning I was asking this kid, he was taking 12. I said, good, that's a full term. That's a full load. That's excellent. Now we got to work on getting you back on track in this other area where you got off track and have you focus more on the track of education. Because as a judge, dealing with people who have gotten off track, I am trying to be the voice of encouragement to say education is such a huge benefit for you if you can continue pursuing that. For the kids that have lost hope or have lost the desire, or the issues that you brought up, President Ender, about, you know, stuff's happening at home, they don't have money, they don't have transportation. What are the obstacles they face day in and day out? Because what we want to try to do is give every kid a chance. We say kid, that could be 35-year-old kid. Give every kid a chance, even the ones that get off track. And some of them have got off track because they haven't focused where they need to be in the world of education. So I see GRCC as the change agent in our community, as being a beacon of hope for education, and keep telling them. And I mean, you know, the people that I see in court are just a percentage. I mean, every college has that same percentage of people that get in trouble. I mean, it could be the faculty, it could be anything. It doesn't matter what your job is. Is this being recorded? You know what I'm saying, though. It goes across every, you know, every occupation, but we want to keep focusing on the message, and the message is education is the way.
You know,
Hey.
yeah, right. That's in case they're in front of you sometimes.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. She's on probation. You know I'm kidding. Just kidding. We know that was a joke. Okay.
Okay. I had a former student who was a cop pull me over once, and
say no more.
And then, he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "No." He says, "I was your student years ago." And I said, "Oh, what kind of grade did you get?" And he started laughing. He said, "I saw you driving by. I thought I'd pull you over and shake you up a little bit."
That worked.
So it was payback.
Yeah.
It was payback.
Right.
I think one of the things that we need to recognize is that this no child left behind disposition starts with a child around 8 years old. Children 8 years old at that particular time, third grade, are consciously aware of whether or not they're going to buy into the system of education or not. And in that consciousness, one of the things that plays to whether a child is going to buy into the system that is most productive to us as a good society or not is, number one, parental involvement, and number two, economics. Children that come from lack of parental involvement and from poverty are almost guaranteed not to be part of that which we want them to be part of. And as long as we can change, again, back to that drum, the mindset of a population that we should hold education in high esteem, even if kids come from poverty, they'll less likely be standing in front of you, Your Honor. So.
I think as educators, we have to be able to really assess where a person is. That starting point, that's so important for me. And when I think about working with students, I work with many students, and one of the things is accurately assessing where they are and looking at where they want to go and creating a pathway to help them get there. It could be career education, it could be transferring to a university, but to accurately assess where they are and to help create this pathway to get there and to help them understand what it looks like along the way. I think that's so important, year 1, year 2, year 3, because you got to get some success along the way, especially adult students, adults that are coming back, been out for a long time. If you have to keep talking to them, you have to accurately assess where they are, because they got to know where that starting point is. They aren't ready to start a chemistry class yet. They have to take the transitional math, so they have to know that and understand it. And I think once you become very clear as educators, if you paint that picture for them, tell them what it looks like along the way, where they want to go. And I think that many more people will be successful if we really just focus on those pieces. So you got to assess where they're at, because some people, just at different starting points.
Right.
And so, but to tell them to help them understand where they're going, what it looks like along the way, I think is critically important as educators, because people want to go to different points. Like I say, career education, I want 2 years and out. I want 2 years and go to work. And students will tell you, I want 2 years and go to work. That's what I want to do. And then some will say, I want to transfer to university, get my doctorate. And so those are different career pathways. And so those students have to, and we as educators have to help them understand where they're going and what it looks like along the way. And I guarantee you we'll have more people that are successful, because I need to know that year 1, year 2, it's going to be like this, and how long do I have to go to complete it, and what challenges do I have along the way. So I just think as educators that we need to focus on those pieces, and we'll help many more students continue, persist, and graduate from college.
Wonderful. If I could take this opportunity to open it up to the audience, we've had some great dialogue here, but I'm sure you may have some questions out there as well that you may want to ask one of our panelists. And we do have microphones. Eric and Steve are back there with microphones, so if you could wait for the microphone to get to you so we all can hear the question, that would be appreciated. But is there any questions that anyone in the audience may have? It's always bad to be the first one, isn't it? I know, once they get one in, it'll just start rolling.
So, is this on? Okay. All right. As speaking to Professor Heredia, you spoke of how the economic situation and how the home life affects the likelihood that a child will continue with higher education. In education. Mm-hmm. Should we not, as a community college, find a way to outreach more to like these 8-year-olds and start impacting them now to continue the want, the desire, the need to learn?
I think that's an excellent question, and I think we can address it in a number of different venues, not only with the children at third grade and second, third, and fourth grade, but also their parents and those prospective parents. I heard someone say one time, well, this school district, a particular school district, did not have a high percentage of people going on to college, saying, the father said, this school district was good enough for me, and by golly, it's going to be good enough for my son or daughter, whoever. And I think what we have to do is not only address the problem as it's coming out of the chute right there in terms of the 8-year-old, but we can't, whether we can or can't do anything about those that are already in 5th and 6th grade. I don't know if they're already headed off this way. Maybe we can stop it. But certainly, the effort should be preventative. The effort should be something where we engage in as the judge was saying, something more rehabilitative to give people hope in the future. And that's what people need. They need some sense of hope that they have a shot at this American dream. And we live in a myth in this country that there isn't this myth that only an American can something happen when we're 14th in the world in upward mobility. And I think we need to instill that in our in that population, that your child can, but you have to become involved. So it's not only dealing with the child, and certainly teachers are for it, but also the parents, the grandparents, in essence, the community as a whole. And that is a big problem when everybody's busy playing with Sony. You know.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I am very glad to be here. I'm Bertha Archie, and I'm also an alumna of Grand Rapids Community College, and I graduated quite a few years ago, but I'm a doctoral student right now, and I just finished my, okay, thank you. So we do go on, and I just finished my residency in academia at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, but my doctorate will be from Case Western Reserve University in Ohio. And so I'm at the proposal dissertation phase, and I know you understand that. And you know, just going on helps you with understanding, really appreciating the panelists and what you have to share. When Dr. Ender talked about degrees of freedom, because I'm into that research phase, I understand DF, okay? And that 2 degrees, 6 degrees, and just understanding all of what you've said. But the question that I would like to pose to the panelists is that what do you suggest are the most effective teaching, learning strategies that you find are very effective in helping a variety of students learn? Dr. Selmon, John, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that accurately, but you mentioned that you have to deal with each student where he or she is. And that means that, I would think that implies that one does not fit all, okay? So if each one of you would share with me, what are the effective teach and learning strategies? Or so that I may add this to my repertoire. Thank you.
Let me jump in so I can not have to anticipate trying to answer this question and just, it is a great question. And I believe, quite frankly, being almost 60 and not being in a classroom regularly for the last 20 years, I am not equipped with the skill sets to reach all students in a class right now. I really believe that the use of the technology that our faculty have available through the Blackboard as a learning platform. We went to a conference where they were talking about virtual realities and entering into these worlds with the class and going to this island in the Pacific and studying the climate zones there virtually. You know, we're there. Using these games that kids are just addicted to with the television set to teach mathematics. It's just, and you have to, at first I said, well, that's a bunch of bull, you know, you get in a classroom and you teach. Well, you've got to try to reach out to what empowers the student. I mean, there's a ton of young people that are very empowered with technology. They grew up with it. You know, it's part of who they are. It's not part of who I am. And I think if we don't figure out how to embrace and then use those technologies effectively, we're just going to have a lot of bored students that will somehow probably get through our system, but I don't know if their learning will be as effective as it could be, if that makes any sense at all. But I do think that there's something going on that I'm really not on the right side of the curve at all in this area of how to use technology to reach today's college student. The traditional age student, the student that has had access to a mouse now for 12 years of their life.
I think there's a couple of things that could be addressed here. The new technology provides certainly advantages, but it also allows for the slipping away of a number of things as well. And I talked to a colleague of mine yesterday, and she said that she has, and this is in remedial writing classes, students coming into here looking to get prepared for college classes, that she had some students that couldn't read cursive. And I'd never even thought about that before. I mean, that just hit me. It just knocked me back, floored me, couldn't read cursive. And then I thought, there are some students that can't tell time. They can't use an analog watch. Well, there are some technologies that are taking place of these. The cursive now is given way to mobility of thumbs, and not even in complete sentences, you know. But I think one of the things that I had to, when I first started teaching, I really had to, it hit me hard that I'm not going to be able to reach everybody. And you're not in this profession to, you know, be a CEO of a large corporation. You're in this profession because you choose to be in this profession because you want to help people. And it pains one when one can't help everyone. But there are some that are not ready yet, and they will be ready in 10 years, and some that will never be ready because they will refuse to become involved in this learning activity. So I think maybe the basics, whether we're dealing with technology or those are the instruments, the tools, but the basic thing I think that our students look for in us is to make a connection with them. And that connection has to be honest with them. You don't have to be their best friend. You can chew them out when they need to be chewed out as a class, as an individual, and you can give them praise, not necessarily when they agree with you, but when they think deeply about something. And I think most students really hold that as, I'm moving forward because that one person thinks enough of me as a student, as a human being, to make a connection with me. Whatever else we use as tools to overcome the cursive or the not being able to tell time or other things like that, I'm slow on the learning curve on that as well. So I'm an old timer in that regard.
Proud of it too, right, John?
By golly,
right,
yeah.
me too.
So, right.
I'll chime in, I guess, as a current student. I mean, definitely, I mean, I'm probably with the rest of the ones here, even though I am a current student, I'm kind of old school, and I learn essentially the best through connection, through connectedness and verbally, and also repetition of, believe it or not, actually writing this stuff down. I'm not, I don't learn real best just typing or all the computerized stuff. I mean, and it's probably weird for my particular age group, but I mean, I am 27, so I probably am on the edge of that, but, and I know that technology is definitely a major part of it, but however, not even me personally. For me personally, the connectedness and writing stuff down works best for me, but definitely for most people in my generation, yes, technology and whatnot is going to be a major player in the future, but that just doesn't work for me personally, at least not as of yet.
I think that we have to help students understand learning styles and how they learn best. For me, for instance, I took online class as part of my doctoral program, and quite frankly, I had 3 of them, but I wouldn't take them again because I didn't learn best that way. And so I think we have to help students understand their learning styles. And there are a lot of ways that students learn, and they learn through service and a number of other ways. I'm not on the academic side, but I know that learning communities where we get groups of students together and they take several classes together has been one effective way that we're able to move students along in the system. So, but the learning style piece, just I think understanding how you learn best is critically important, and to help individuals understand that. And I think that can help guide them. And like I said, learning in student services, we help students get engaged as quick as we can on campus, and we provide other opportunities for them to learn and grow outside of the classroom, whether it's a leadership opportunity with a club or organization or a volunteer activity in the community or project or something like that. Students still learn and grow outside of the classroom. So I'm not as involved in the classroom, like I said, but outside the classroom, there's still many, many opportunities to grow and learn. And I think as institutions of higher learning, we have to create those opportunities where students can learn in different ways. So.
And one thing here real quick is that I was really impressed once when I heard someone say, the student will appear, or excuse me, the teacher will appear when the student is ready. And that teacher can be anything. I mean, could be anything in life. When the student is ready, those learning experiences will occur. So just keep plugging away. Good for you.
Great. We have time for one more.
I had one, this gentleman back here asked first.
Hi, my name is Don Williams, and I'd like to commend the panel. It's been tremendous learning for me back here. But the question I'd like to ask is, if age 8 is a transformative time and very important, and high school is the bridge to the community college, what is the experience of faculty going back into those age areas? How often is faculty involved in those early areas that are community college faculty?
The first part of the question, if I understood it correctly, was how do faculty go back to the K-12 system? Am I correct?
The entire question is this. I was just trying to be, as impressive as you all are. But what I'm concerned about is if we say age 8 is so important and we know various pathways to high school and so forth are extremely important, do the faculty of this school and other community college have a responsibility to go back into those areas during the semester every year so that they not only keep up with the students, but they also can guide them and the teachers?
I'll take a shot at that.
Go ahead.
I
really wanted to answer, but I'm not part of the panelists.
I'm certainly aware of faculty in different disciplines at this community college that network and work with like colleagues in school systems. And that probably helps them stay in touch with students that are coming through the K-12 system. However, I think our role is greater than that, Don, quite frankly, and I alluded to it earlier. And I think how faculty could best work with K-12 districts, from my perspective, is to work with faculty in the districts around their various disciplines to make sure that we're in sync when the handoff takes place. The handoff between 12th and then freshman year in college. In the social sciences, in the biological sciences, in the physical sciences, in mathematics, in writing composition, and verbal skills. We have so many students that are way below the bar And we tend to say, well, that's all their fault. But we don't even have the conversation to find out maybe some of it's our expectations are too high, maybe. But first we have to have the conversation to find out. That's how I think our faculty could really provide their best expertise working with helping students be prepared to come to a post-secondary setting.
Dr. Selmon.
I just want to piggyback off that. There are two community colleges that I know that, well, not community college. Wayne State University is working with Detroit Public Schools to do just what Dr. Ender talked about. Was having an education summit where during the summer months, and they get CEU credit for this, the college faculty and high school teachers by discipline come together and have a conversation about the gap between leaving high school and starting a college course. There's a gap sometimes that forces students into transitional education. And Jackson Community College has one too. It's called Educational Summit in Reading, Writing, and Math. And I know at Lake Michigan College this summer we will have an education summit where our K-12 partners, we will sit down and have conversations about, not point the finger at the K-12s, and they won't point the fingers at us, but to talk about the challenges and some of the problems that we both experience and how do we close the gap. Basically, it's a conversation about how do you close the gap. The reality is that students are suffering as a result of many coming to higher ed not being prepared to take traditional college courses, reading, writing, and math, and they have to go into developmental or transitional education courses. And so the conversation is about a student leaving high school and starting college, and there's a gap sometimes that forces them into transitional education. How do we close the gap, and how do we do it collectively? In other words, align the curriculum so that it's smooth, seamless, and the student can move from one level to the next. But like Dr. Ender said, that has to be a conversation where individuals by discipline come together and talk, and I know that there is like I said, two institutions that have already done something, and then the third one that will be doing something, and it's the higher eds and the K-12s talking by discipline.
We do have one more question.
Hello, I'm Donna Avik-Laban, proud mother of Tiffany, who won an award today, so let's all give her a hand. And you're saying all the things that I'd wanted to hear when I decided to come to listen to this. I come here by a circuitous route. We moved to Grand Rapids a year ago, and I've taught in the educational system in England, in Naples, Italy, we lived. I taught in Korea and Japan, and our last stop was Washington, D.C., where I was an education lobbyist in Congress. And one of the issues that continually came up was around the dropout problem, around aligning the curriculums. But one of the things that I think when I got here, I was so excited because I felt that Michigan is at this incredible point in their history, and I wanted to be a part of the rebirth, and which is why we moved back here. And one of the things that I think is absolutely fascinating, and I'd like to commend Dr. Ender, is saying they want CC to be a catalyst for change. And right now, across the state, there are communities that are taking part in developing college access networks. College access networks. The governor launched this program, and I'm going to need to talk to a couple of you up there on this. And Grand Rapids is also has a nascent group of concerned citizens, the Community Foundation. There's funding available. There's $2.5 million that are being put into this, and it's going to be address and touch on, and I hope discuss a lot of these issues that we're talking about. And so I'd like to welcome a larger discussion here in Grand Rapids, and they're talking about this in Lansing, and I'm working in Muskegon, in Flint, and I know my next stop was going to be Benton Harbor, but we really have an opportunity to change the culture. And so one of the things, and everyone's all excited, and I see this from when I was in D.C., we all had this vision. And my question is, how do we take within the community the vision of where we know we want to be to get the action to move us there? Because I know that I work at Ferris and I have all of these ideas, and I'm sure it's like this at every institution. Well, I have classes I have to teach today. And the daily minutia sometimes gets in the way of that further goal. How do you as leaders get your people to move beyond that? Because that's where the action's going to come. I guess so. That's how do we do that?
So in about 30 seconds.
It has to transcend to in my opinion, a community initiative led by community leaders. So you're not going to get there by asking members of your staff to see what you can do. It's just not going to happen that, from my perspective. So you bring together educational leadership from the various sectors, business leadership, the foundations, the private wealth of the community, and you make a commitment that we're going to change this paradigm. And we're going to do that through, externally, media, print media, billboards, newspaper articles, in your face every day. If you want to survive in the new Michigan, you better learn something after high school. And those students have to know from day one that they're going to get to go to college. Many, 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 many poor people, they know education is important, but hey, we can't afford it in our family, so don't think about it. When in fact, for poor people, there is a way. It's the folks caught in the middle that really have a hard time. So how can we assure them that there will be dollars to support you as you come through this system? And then if you can get a community value, that's when staffs from many different nonprofits, neighborhood groups, religious groups, that's when you go in, you put boots on the ground, and you start working with folks, after school programs, in school. You go after federal grants, ton of grants to work in schools, if you have the cooperation and synergy of the leadership supporting the effort. But it has to become a community value, I think, if you're going to see real transformational change with large numbers of people.
I think in one area of focus could be something that's a great opportunity here in Michigan, and that is the film industry. And the fact that's what's happening on the east side of the state with all the abandoned buildings, the movie industry's coming, and they're saying we're going to use that. That's a perfect opportunity for us to tie into a sense of reality, what's real for the community, to engage in this growth in that particular area. It's not the auto industry, how about the film industry? Something like that. So that becomes a unifying target, and I'm getting in the film industry. I know what this means,
Well, we want to thank each and every one of you for being here this afternoon. We really appreciate your time that you've spent with us, and I'm going to turn it over to Steve and Eric.
Before Amy goes, she said that she had her arm twisted and that she was nervous, but I think she did a marvelous job. I want to thank her so much. Thank you. You've now made my short list for potential facilitators for future projects. Nice job. Thank you. At this time, I just wanted to, again, thank our panelists for sharing their insight, their experience, their leadership. And for me, I want to share one small, brief revelation about this week, is that we all know this. We live very hurried lives. And this whole idea of transformation is very powerful, as our audience members have talked about and our panels have, but it's difficult to dig our heels in and really affect meaningful, substantial change. And this week for me has allowed me to put pause on that hurried for a moment and hear the amazing stories that were told by our community members, and think about the excellence that we have as a community, as already being an agent of change and transformation, but what tremendous opportunity and potential we have before us. And as we welcome you to our community officially and formally, I think you know that you're surrounded by a community of teachers and learners who are committed to doing that hard work and living up to that challenge and opportunity in front of us. So I'd like to transition to Steve so we could enjoy some fellowship and I hear some awesome desserts. So, thank you. Pass these out.
We have lovely parting gifts for our panelists. And as I was watching the panel unfold, or the discussion unfold, I should say, and watching the panelists, I tried to think in my mind how I could make a connection to each person up here and what connection I may have already had. And Dr. Ender, I first met almost a year ago when he came to interview, and And as I said yesterday at the closing, or at the opening of the colloquium, I was very impressed, and it was, as I said earlier, the best interview that I either participated in or witnessed, or I mean, I interviewed terribly, so I was very impressed. So that's my connection. Jeremy was a member of our colloquium committee, and I've grown to know him over the last few months, and he is quite a interesting young man, a ball of energy. He seems to be everywhere, and I really am impressed with what he's done for this committee, but also what he's doing for Grand Rapids Community College as a student leader. So Jeremy, thank you for being on the panel. For Dr. Selmon, my connection's a little bit different. I have 3 sons. All of them wrestled for 4 years. So I sat on bleachers for 12 years of my life watching wrestling matches, and so I feel like we do have a connection. I'm going to skip Her Honor for just a second. When I was in administration, a lifetime ago it seems like now, John Heredia was one of the faculty members in the area that I was able to be an administrator over. So we had faculty meetings, and those would go on just like this panel discussion. So not any shortage of ideas or talent in the room when we would have those kinds of meetings. And then finally, Judge Smolenski, she and I go way back. We both attended grade school at St. Stephen's School here in Grand Rapids, and fortunately, neither one of us were terribly affected by the Dominican nuns. Heredia mentioned somebody that couldn't read cursive. I can't write cursive to this day because of the sisters. But at any rate, thank you again to the panelists and for all of your insights and help with this discussion. I'm supposed to do some closing. I know we want to get to the treats that are outside. Please let me thank the people that helped put this together, the 2-day event, and again from the steering committee over the whole investiture week, Jill Nutt and Becky Yoder. Thank you for all of that work of the logistics and the food and so on and so forth. We had a member of our team who was also seemed to be every place that I could think of and did a lot of work, and that was Melinda Powers. Melinda's in the audience, and thank you. The media technologies people I mentioned earlier, but let me mention by name: Class Quant, Mike Colby, Dwayne David, Jim Schaefer, Mark Vogel, and Julie Vance. Thank you very, very much for taping not only this event, but all of the others, putting together our video, and so on. Diane Burdick is the lady you've seen with the camera, and she has been all over this campus the last couple of days, and I'm sure she's got some great shots. I can't wait to see all of those pictures. Thank you for doing all of that. It'll be a very nice historical documentary of what we've accomplished here today, or this week. Eric and I were asked by Provost Healy to co-chair this committee. We got a lot of help from the steering committee. Deb DeWent is toward the back of the room. She helped us out with some of our things, but the team that volunteered, we didn't twist very many arms, just Amy's. But I want to just mention each one of these people because they put it's rare that you get a chance to work with a team that actually does the things you ask them to do and comes up with the ideas and carries them out. So Sandy Andrews, Cindy Martin, Luann Wedge, Mike Faber, Paula Sullivan, Jane Ann Benson, John Cowles, Amy Koning, Mursalana Mohammed, Jeff Spoolman, Jeremy Christensen, Sandy Lancaster, Kate Barwalter, Dave Selmon, Stacy Hessler, Eve Sidney, Deb Norman, Holly Klein, and our co-chair Eric Mullen, and we had a great team, a great time. Let's give them a round of applause, please. All 4 of my grandparents came to Grand Rapids. Why Grand Rapids? I have no idea. From Damascus, Syria. Why they didn't end up in Detroit with all the rest of the Arabic-speaking people that aren't in the Middle East, I don't know. But they came here with the intention of having their children go to school, go to college. On my mom's side, it didn't quite work out quite the same as it did on my dad's side. My dad's dad died when he was a young boy during the Great Depression, my grandmother managed to work and raise 3 boys, all of whom went to Grand Rapids Junior College and then on to Western Michigan University, the best college in the entire world, and all graduating with degrees. And they instilled in their children that college was not an option. It was a place that you were going to go. And when I graduated from high school, I was accepted to some of the colleges that were mentioned earlier. And my dad said, yeah, that's nice, but you will be going to junior college. And I said, but I am paying my own way. And he said, yeah, that's right, you're paying your own way at junior college and then from wherever you want to go. And when your dad was in World War II, you didn't argue with him very much. And if he could kick Hitler's butt, he surely could take care of you. So, and I don't know if you've ever talked to a World War II vet, but they all did it all by themselves. So I said to my dad, Dad, if I'm going to JC, then you go down and register me. Now, this is in the days before FERPA and all the other rules that we have. So my dad came down here and registered me. And I did not want to come here. And as Sara mentioned, it was sort of thought of as 13th grade when I was graduating from high school. And my dad met with C.R. Smith, who passed away a few years ago. He was worked in the counseling office during the summer. And he says, I'm here to register my son. And Mr. Smith said, well, what does he want to do? Or what does he want to be? And he says, he wants to teach and he wants to coach football. So I found a schedule of all what we now call wellness classes and some history and some other things that I was interested in. And I stayed here for a year, and to this day, my best instruction in all of my years, no matter what level of college, came at Grand Rapids Junior College. These faculty members. And so it's sort of like coming home again for me. I've been here for, this is my 17th year, but it's been a nice place for me to begin my higher ed career and in about 10 years end my higher ed career. And so that is a part of the pride that all of us feel when John talked about the faculty and how we feel about our classes and in this institution. It comes from the heart. And there's a real reason for that. And we feel these connections to you students all the time. And either we see a miniature one of ourselves or our spouse or somebody we knew growing up, and that helps us to try to give you the very best that we possibly can give. And I've said before, and I believe wholeheartedly, we are the best first chance for a lot of our students, and we're the best second chance for a lot of our students, and that's why we exist. So with that, I would like to ask all of the award winners if they would meet. Dr. Andy Bowen is sitting toward the back of the first level here, and he has some things that I think you'll be interested in. He will talk with you about that. And for the rest of us, thank you again for being here. We now adjourn to our outside entryway there where we have some free treats for everybody. Thank you all. That's a good luck clip. It doesn't work. Is this for Amy? Yeah. Did she not get